Hello, everybody. So, I hope you don't mind that we're a little extra low key cozy today. I mean, we're always low key cozy here, but have the rainy day vibes going. We're nice and close and cozy, right up close today. So, I wanted to say I'm getting a little bit rusty, so I knew I had to come on today. I've had a couple interesting scenarios recently that I wanted to share this Taco Tuesday. And for this Taco Tuesday, I have one more. We only have one more. We only have one more of this beer. We only have one more. But today is Tuesday, so we have Taco Tuesday. So let me tell you a little bit of this beer. It is an American style sour ale. Maybe I'll turn this down a little bit because I think that mic is sensitive enough. It might be drowning me out. I don't know. I guess I'll find out later. It is brewed with tomato, cumin, chili powder, paprika, black pepper, jalapeno, and cilantro. So that is indeed a whole Taco Tuesday, all in a beer. And so the last weird food themed flavored beer that I got from Shades was pasta. Or it was spaghetti dinner, only it was totally missing the tomato element, which kind of caused it to not be such of a spaghetti dinner as it could have otherwise been. So I added a Bloody Mary or a tomato juice to it and turned it into a Bloody Mary, good like that. This, however, already has tomato elements in it. And which does help. It does add to a certain Bloody Mary factor. But still a little strange, I must admit. I prefer it to the spaghetti dinner, though, probably. Because this one has more of a full grounded flavor. I think it's the cumin that's doing it for me, too. I don't know. The cumin is coming through in a good way. So there's that, our beer of the day. Maybe we're a little too cozy close, but I keep cutting off my today, apparently. Oh, that reminds me. Later, I'm going to talk to you a bit about Shel Silverstein. Or I guess I could start with that. Maybe I will start with that. Also, if you think my hair looks a little bit weird today, it's because I parted it on the other side to which I normally do. I don't know, just for kicks. There you go. So a friend of mine posted, she found a Shel Silverstein cassette tape. Some Goodwill find or another. And she shared a couple of the tracks from it. And oh my goodness, was I ever stunned, my friends. So stunned. I kind of want to share it with you. I don't know if I'd get a copyright strike, though. So I'll think about that. I don't know if it would be like that with such a thing, though. But she posted a few different tracks. And it was stunning, I've got to say. She added some little commentary that was like, holy cow, listening to it this way is so different than reading it. And I must concur. I second that movement. Listening to Shel Silverstein read his own poems adds a whole other dimension to them. it moved me in a way that I didn't even know I could feel these days, as jaded as that sounds. As jaded as that is, maybe. But after I listened to those couple tracks, I went and found a playlist on YouTube of the whole thing. Shel Silverstein reading his poetry. Well, I listened to about half at that point before I hit a certain track that just stunned me. Stunned. That track that poem is one entitled Forgotten Language, about speaking the language of the flowers, the forgotten language of childhood, the forgotten language of the unspoken, you could say. And I already knew that I liked that poem because I had read um, Where the Sidewalk Ends and A Light in the Attic. I read them or perused them recently um, for inspiration uh, of my own creations, for my own creations. Seeing how somebody can create something like that, straight from the heart, imperfect, but great. And she was like, wow, this is a whole different experience. Like, he's truly crazy. And I had to concur. There were a couple of moments where sometimes my mouth does things I don't want it to. I've had this issue my whole life. I have gotten better at taming it, but when I haven't been talking out loud as much, I notice it comes up again. And really, the main people I've been talking to out loud are like you guys, or, my family over video chat and things like that. But there were a few key tracks where I was like, okay, yeah, this dude probably is a little bit off his rocker. But then again, I feel like a lot of the good artists are. There was one track where he talks, there's this whole poem about eating the baby. And as I was listening to that one, I was like, okay, you know what? This is actually a little bit crazy. Crazy good, I'd say, is what he is. But by the end of that poem, I found myself thinking, and I just wanted to come up to Shel and be like, Shel, do you have something to tell the class? Did you eat the baby, Shel? Were you the one who ate the baby? Did you eat the baby? I don't know. It was just like bizarre poems. And I didn't realize what a musician he was, too. Honestly, I love it. I love it. I fully suggest giving it a listen if that's your kind of thing. It sparked my heart in a way I haven't felt in a long time. I'm gonna say that. I look forward to listening to The Light in the Attic because I haven't listened to that one's recording yet. I've just been listening to Where the Sidewalk Ends and enjoying it very much. I just, although the poems themselves are clever, hearing his tonalities and the way he says it brings them to life in a very unexpected way. The characters take on a whole new character. The king who eats only peanut butter is a much more funny tale, I'd say, told through his voice. There's The song or the poem that stunned me though, and there were a few like that. I had to stop in the middle of it. I kind of want to play it for you guys. You know what? I'm going to. I'm gonna risk it. Nobody. I think it'll be okay. Oh, also, I did want to comment. I tried a different kind of thumbnail today. I hope it's not offensive, but it was going for more of a color block pop art sort of thing. I thought maybe it would look cooler, so I don't know. I just made that accidentally, and I thought it looked kind of creepy and kind of funny. So I figured, why not? Maybe I'll change it to one of the more normal versions later if I decide it's too cringy. Tell me if it's offensive. Is it offensive? Is it weird? I don't know. I was just doing it in my colors, so hopefully it's not that. Forgotten language. Shel Silverstein. Shel Silverstein. Okay, guys. We're going to listen to this together. Make sure my Bluetooth is on. Of course, there's going to be a commercial playing right now. Maybe I should lift this up a little bit. It's too late. The angle is cozy. We're having a cozy angle today. All right.
Once I spoke the language of the flowers. Once I understood each word the caterpillar said. Once I smiled in secret at the gossip of the starlings and shared a conversation with the housefly on my bed. Once I heard and answered all the questions of the crickets and joined the crying of each falling, dying flake of snow. Once I spoke the language of the flowers. How did it go?
How did it go? Oh my gosh, you guys. I was just listening through, and there were a few, that I really enjoyed that made me laugh or caught me off guard in other ways. But when I got to this one in particular, continue no further, I was just stunned by the rawness of that, because that's the thing, is like his recordings are just so raw, and there's just this emotion there that I feel is so lacking these days. But him, you can tell he really feels it and he really means it, because I knew that poem and I liked that poem, but hearing it from his mouth, it did hit a little different. Wonder if there's, maybe I'll share another one with you guys while I'm at it. I was thinking of making like a whole video maybe about this. I don't know. Let's do another one while we're talking about Shel Silverstein, though. One of my inspirations of my life. There is this one poem that's called No Difference that I want to bring up just because it's interesting, where basically he's talking about how everybody is different, or how everybody's the same inside, but it's only that our outsides look different, that we are angry at one another. So the poem ends by saying, if we all look the same in the dark, maybe God should just shut the light out. I'm like, there were a few of his poems that end in these unexpected, subtly dark ways that just make you be like, wow, sure, these are kids' poems, I guess, but there's just something about that little edge of darkness, that I think adds a little spice sometimes. It's a little fun. We're not going to listen to that one, but there's one poem about from the point of view of a child who didn't follow the Pied Piper, which I think was a very interesting take personally. Um, he tells the tale of all of his friends going off with the Pied Piper and how sad their parents are. And he didn't go, and his parents are like, "Oh, we're so glad you didn't go, and that you didn't hear the song, that you didn't get caught." And it ends with him saying, "But I did hear the song, the hollow notes of the song. I was just too afraid to follow them." And that gave me a thought, that did, where, we often think of fear as a bad thing, but there are moments when being fearful is perhaps a friend. Saved you in the end. Unless, of course, all those kids followed the Pied Piper to like the land of milk and honey and forever happy land, then I guess he messed up, didn't he? I don't know where he took them. I think it's supposed to be a tragedy originally, but I don't know. Maybe those kids had a better time. Maybe they went to Neverland. Let's see. Is there one? I just want to look for another. Ooh, okay, we'll do this one. This is another one that really has like Sam Zog feels to it, It's called Enter the Deserted House. And then I'll move on from Shel Silverstein. I just wanted to share this with you guys because yeah, I liked it. Maybe you'll like it too. Gotta get your Candy Crush. Get that crush.
Enter this deserted house, but please walk softly as you do. Frogs dwell here, crickets too. Ain't no ceiling, only blue. Jays dwell here, sunbeams too. The floors are flowers, take a few. Ferns grow here, daisies too. Whoosh, whoosh, bats dwell here, and hoot owls too. Gnomes dwell here, and goblins too. Oh, my child, I thought you knew. I dwell here, and so do you.
Now that also has a vibe. Hopefully you could hear that okay, but if not, that one is called The Deserted House. Enter the Deserted House, sorry. But I love that one because it starts out so light and magical, Enter the deserted house, where the sunlight and the flowers live, the ferns and the creatures, and then the dream devolves. And I just think it's a fun way to take it, I think, I don't know. I guess I've always kind of liked that kind of thing. I guess that says something about me. Not sure what exactly. I've always enjoyed the kind of whimsical, spooky thing. And that sure is Shel Silverstein. And perhaps Sam Zog, you could say. So yeah, I've been listening to Shel Silverstein a lot the last few days, and it has been lovely, I tell you. It has been lovely. I feel it has reconnected a part of me to a part of me. All right, on to other stories. So I wrote some notes. Didn't mean to get so distracted. Reacted. Eh. All right. Just having a lovely rainy day beer before bed. All right. So the snail stories. So as for the snails, I love the snails. They are some of my favorites. Have a poem about a snail that I like quite a bit that I wrote. Maybe I should look it up actually. Here. I might do that while I'm telling you guys the rest of my story. I did I post that yet? I don't remember if I did actually. I don't think I did. I recorded some audio, or did I? It's sad that I don't even know. The thing is I have some like partially formed videos that are just kind of hanging out since I am still working on that skill set. But I want to read you guys my poem and talk about the snails because I've always had a special relationship with snails, you could say. Um, I also am the slow and steady type, so I vibe that. Um, I used to deliver the newspapers, and I would often be out at night or in the early morning, and I would see snails sometimes, particularly on rainy days. So now ever since then, I just, have you ever squashed a snail? It's a terrible feeling. Because the thing is, when I was running around doing that kind of stuff, the thing is I sucked at throwing it from the thing, so I would just run around, and I would sometimes squash a snail, and I would feel so bad about it that I started watching extra carefully for snails, particularly on rainy days. And whenever I would see one, I would pet its shell, and I would just say, "Bless you," and it would just be like a little snail blessing. And still to this day, I will do little snail blessings and receive little snail blessings. It's a mutual thing, I think. And if I am going out for a walk and there's a snail that's crossing the sidewalk, I will help it along its way because I've just seen and crushed too many snails to just let that slip by. So, today was a rainy day. I went on a lovely rainy walk. Just utterly lovely, my friend. And went got my umbrella, went to the graveyard. I checked out all of the angel statues that they have there. Everyone from Yeshua to Archangel Michael and Mother Mary. I said hello to all of them and just had a really lovely time. And on my walk back, I came across a whole gaggle of snails just in front of this house. It was very lush, and it was Snail City. Big ones, little itty bitty ones. They were so cute. And as I'm walking, I look down and I see what appears to be a snail partially crushed, and in the story I told myself, and then another snail looked like it was like kissing it, and I was like, oh no, is he like trying to help his hurt friend? And I was like telling myself this very romantic story of like, oh no, how sad. But then I got a closer look at the situation. And instead, the real truth of the situation was actually that they were eating it looked like they were eating the carcass of a smash snail. Like they were on top of it. Like the one guy was on top of it, so it kind of looked like it was like maybe part of his body that was crushed, but they were just like on top of this crushed snail, just like eating its remains, I guess. And I was like, oh boy, that's much more morbid than what I thought was going on. Because I was like, maybe I can help. Maybe I can help this partially smushed snail. But no, they were fine. They were just snacking on their buddy. Anyway, wanted to share that. Nature, man. It's very romantic, but very terrible sometimes. I mean, I guess that's beautiful in a way. I guess at least he's being eaten by his friends. Hmm. Hmm. I'll have to think about that one. But then there were these tiny little itty bitty baby snails. Honestly, I almost considered taking one home and making it my pet snail because you can totally do that. But I picked him up and I was like, ooh, and I really set him on this hand. And I just kind of like set him down, and he was a fast little snail, man. He just did this cute little circle around my hand, starts climbing up the knuckle, and I notice he's kind of going towards. And the thing is, it was very cute. Is there were snails all about, but this particular snail was kind of close to another smallish snail, and I could see that he was kind of walking that direction. So I was like, oh, I can't take him home, you know. Plus, that would just be silly anyway. Let the animal be free. Let the snail have its snaily life. And so I kind of leaned my knuckle down and I set him down next to the other small snail, which had a little divot in its shell. Kind of looked like it had been slightly pressed. And he what was really cute is like I picked him up and I let him crawl on me, and it was a cute moment, and I set him down. I don't know why I keep calling it a him. I guess I just thought it was a him. I guess I don't know the gender though. I don't know how to tell the gender of snails. If you know, tell me. But I set him down next to his friend, and after I did, he seemed like real happy about it, and he did this little like woo, where he crawled up on top of his friend's shell and just like it was so cute and silly. Like crawled on top of the shell and just like went around, and I was like, oh my goodness, snails are smart, dude. I was like, okay, so he was just crawling around on me, we're friends, and so he's like, I'm gonna crawl on my other friend. Or maybe alternatively, snail goo, mucil or mucin, whatever it is actually very healing. Um, they use it, it's sometimes put in skincare stuff um, for the healing properties. So maybe he was just trying to heal the shell as well. I don't know, but I just thought it was really cute. And I was like, huh, how interesting, you know? Did I teach him a new trick? I don't know. What do you think about that? I thought it was pretty cute. Whatever it was, I was like, that was so cute. I loved it. All right, so I wanted to tell you those snail stories because I love the snails. Honestly, I wouldn't mind having a giant snail for a pet. That would be really cute, actually. I don't know if that's good for them, but I would like that. Or like in Never Ending Snoot Story, do you remember those giant snails? I'd want one of those giant snails. So let's see. Oh, yes. I also wanted to talk to you guys about, I think I'll end with that. I'll end with that snail poem. How about that? So just a moment. I did want to tell you another story about this funny experience I had at the laundromat. So I went to the laundromat and it was I hadn't been in probably over a month, about a month. So I really needed to go. And when I was there, I just wore a mask because, like, I don't know, I just, well, okay. I mean, I still kind of like the masks, to be honest. Um, I heard a sad story about an angry Republican dad whose son really enjoyed wearing masks and actually really liked wearing them to school because it made him feel like a ninja. And jaw feels, man. Jaw feels. I also appreciate the incognito mode of the masks. And I just thought it was really sad that he was like telling his son, you can't let people know that you like the masks. You know what? If you like the mask, you like the mask. Like, F off, guy. That's how I feel. You're allowed to like masks. I personally like them. I have been wearing them just because I want to sometimes. I honestly feel a little bit sad about when it will look weird to do so because, for example, like, it's just going to the grocery store, you just don't want to be bugged. You don't want to have to like get all dolled up. Just put on the mask. It's great. So that was kind of the scenario as I was very busy that day anyway. And with the Delta variant going around, I just thought it'd be best. Delta variant plus your downtown city laundromat is like not the cleanliest place anyways. So I figure, um, why not double down, right? Also, reason number three is because I just didn't want to wear makeup that day, and I have a tendency to attract people talking to me when I go to public places, and so I was just trying to discourage people from talking to me slash not have to put makeup on before I went to the dang laundromat because I just really didn't want to do that. Just wear a mask. It's not such a thing, guys. It really isn't. It's just a piece of cloth over your face. I know that you can make it into more if you want, but I don't. Anyways, or at least not these days. I think we've all been going through our own phases of what we think is going on these days. So I'll admit, I've gone through phases of what I think is correct and right versus not right in this scenario. And this is just where I've landed. So at the laundromat, I'm masked, one of the few people that is. Um, and I go to, and it's like, I don't know if it's because people are vaccinated or not. I also really don't care that much. I mean, sure, the lack of that is actively causing a really bad scenario right now. It is, but we'll not get into that right now. Perhaps I'll make a special video for that. But in this scenario, I'm feeling judged. That's the weird thing, is like maybe other people in other parts of the country feel like they're standing up for something, which I think is a little misguided personally, or something like that. But I used to say the same thing, which is why I feel like I have permission to say this, because I was literally in the same boat until I just realized that some narratives weren't adding up. So that's me personally. Sorry if I'm upsetting you guys before my lovely poem. But I go there and I'm wearing a mask and I feel like I am being very heavily judged for it because I live in a very Republican state, very Republican, and very, I don't know, very oppressive state, very religiously oppressive as well. And I could just see there was this one lady in particular who was really giving me the eye. She really was. And I could see she was kind of like scoffing at me, and like I'm like, okay, well, clearly she thinks I'm a dumbass for wearing a mask, but I don't care. I'm doing this. And or at least that was my perception. Perhaps that wasn't what was going on at all. But this particular day, it was pretty busy at the laundromat, and I couldn't find one of those little cart thingies, and it was a whole scenario. So I, when I had to switch my laundry over to the dryer, I just was like, okay, I'm just gonna carry handfuls of my wet laundry over to the dryer, and then deal with it from there. So I do that. I just buy just pile by pile, since I don't have access to one of the carts since everybody else is using them. I just pile my wet laundry over. And I'm like, okay. And I'm just making the most of it. I'm trying not to let this bum me out. I'm like, it's fine. At least, this is fine. I'll make it work. And then after I pile all of my wet piles of clothing, I'm like, I set my amount, and I swipe my card, and doesn't work. It says card declined. And I'm like, okay, let me try that again. Same thing. I'm a little concerned at this point because I'm like, there should be money in there. There should definitely at least be $2 for the dryer in there at the very least. So I'm like, ooh, kind of concerned. I'll look at that later. I grab my other card because I'm like, okay, well, I'll just use this one. That one also declines and doesn't work. And I'm just kind of like, okay, at this point, I'm like, okay, I think something may be wrong with this particular machine. I have some cash. I don't have any quarters because I used all my loose quarters up one of the other times. And so I go over to the cash machine, and it is just not working. So I'm just like, I'm at this point, I'm like, okay, it's probably just the machine. I'll just swap over and do something. But interestingly, lady who was giving me the little smirky eyes, smirky smirk, rolly eyes from earlier, all of a sudden she's like, hi. And like, I'm just smiling because that's the thing is I'm like trying to smile with my eyes and just be like, hello, I am not bothered by your presence. We are cool. I am not mad at you for not being like me right now. And she comes up to me with just like this pity, and she's like, hey, it was almost like something clicked in her where it's like she's had painted this whole, because she had seen, I think, that it said card declined. And so I think in her mind, she thought I was just super, super broke to the point where I didn't have $2 for the dryer, which I mean, I'm not saying I've never been in that scenario in the past, but I'm just not in that scenario right now. But it was like this weird flip of the switch where it seemed like, and I had this moment. I actually remembered when I was thinking of that lady. Originally, when I noticed she seemed bugged by me, I was like, And I remembered this story that another YouTuber had told called Heinz. He recently got popular. And he told a story about how when he was at a Goodwill or something like that, thrift store, he had noticed a woman staring at him, and he was having all these bad thoughts, thinking, oh, she's thinking all of these bad negative things about me. And then later she approached him and told him that he was the most beautiful man she'd ever seen. So complete opposite. And it just floored him. So this was kind of that scenario for me. And it's funny because I had actually been thinking of that scenario. And then that's kind of what unfolded, where I was kind of like, oh, I'm not going to get mad at this lady, even if she's judging me. And who knows, even if she is, maybe it's something else entirely, And yeah. And she was just like, she seemed like a little bit, I don't know. She seemed a little bit holier than thou, a little bit I don't know. Like she was being nice, but I could tell that she felt very smug. I mean, she was smug for an illusory reason, an illusion. But I could tell she was smug, and she was just like, "Hey, do you want to use the red? I've still got like 15 minutes on this that I'm not going to use. Do you want to use? Do you want to use my dryer?" And I was like, "Sure, why not?" And I was like, "Holy cow, this scenario is actually working out pretty well for me." I stayed in a good attitude about it, and it was working out. I mean, you could argue. Here's one thing that I think about law of attraction is like, you could argue that it was a bad scenario and that was just it. But it turned around in such a way, as you see. I don't know. And so the bad scenario turned around in such a way. And then after that, she even like gave me an extra dollar worth of quarters because she's like, I don't worry about it. And I was gonna give her $1, and she's like, don't worry about it, I got plenty. She's like, I made sure I had plenty of quarters before I arrived. I was like, okay, you were prepared. I just knew that this laundromat takes cards, which is why I use this one in particular. Anyway, I could have broken the illusion, you know, and be well. I tried to tell her, I'm like, oh, are you sure? Like, thank you so much. Like, I think it's just there's just something wrong with this one, and she was just kind of like, sure, you know. But I just let her have that, and it worked out really well for me. So there you go. I got free dryer at the laundromat from somebody that I thought hated me. So you never know. Sorry for my little rant about stuff earlier. I feel that I'm just in a very oppressive environment, and I have to get those feelings out somewhere, you know, because the thing is there's a lot of propaganda around, and I think some of it is the stuff that people think that it's not. Okay, that was a roundabout way to say that. So I don't know. I just want to throw my perspective in there when I can. Maybe it can help someone. I don't know. We're all figuring this out. It's a very difficult situation, which brings me to this idea, especially with like people are dying. Stuff is happening both in Afghanistan, disease wise. Things are suddenly just getting real crazy, ramping up a bit. And it reminds me of this phrase. Let's see. It was the head of the police chief at the White House during the insurrection. And honestly, after you watch the footage just raw and just see the sheer terror, it's awful. If you haven't seen it and you think that the insurrection was a good thing, I suggest you seek the footage out because it is disturbing and very telling. And the police chief had this very just passionate speech. And I remember there's this part in it where it's like he's talking about how all of these protections, you know, since the attack have gone down and gone down. And he says everything has nothing has changed. Everything has wait, what was the phrase? Gosh dang it. I just had it in my brain. Everything is different, but nothing has changed. That's what it is. Everything is different, but nothing has changed. Everything is different, but nothing has changed. And that's kind of how I feel like most of us are feeling, where everything is different, but nothing has really changed. And I think it's putting us all in this little agitated state or large agitated state because everything is different now, but nothing has changed. And we're all in this weird in between growing stage. I know I am anyway, both personally and I can see it happening in the world around me. Just in letting go of things and finding new ways of being. It's a strange, strange time with strange, strange things. But sometimes a negative situation can bring kindness or a gift with it that you weren't necessarily expecting. So, to end this stream now, in the spirit of Shel Silverstein, I shall read a poem of my own. It's on my blog if you want to go to samzog.media and look at it. That's what it looks like. Snail wings. A wish for wings, a land dragon flying. I did record this. I remembered recording this. I'll have to find that or try again. And so, my friend, to end this stream, I have for you my very own poem. So let's read the thing. It was wish day, and the snail wasn't sure what to ask for. I could be anything, it thought to itself. A sunbeam or a machine or a dragon or a human. I could be as powerful and beautiful as I dream that I am. So let me be beautiful then, said the snail to the dream. And strong and bright and intelligent and flying. It wished for a little bit of everything wrapped in one. The dream wakes, the magic has begun. You are beautiful as you are, the dream spoke to them. With spiral sponge shell and iridescent slime. You are strong as you are, said the dream, chanting on. With patience unmatched, vulnerability unnerving. You turn bright in the rain and you brave every storm. You are intelligent to take a wish and try to make it more. I see you are already what you've been wishing for. There's really only one thing that I can do from here. So the dream changed form, and the snail sprouted little wings of slime. And that's how it became a little land dragon flying. And so, my little land dragons, thank you for being here for this stream, this very cozy, up close stream. Now let's get flying.